Okay, so this is the SNARS Digital Systems presentation by Tony W7XM out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He's the SNARS secretary and he is the aficionado for SNARS and all things digital. He's also the Pacific Division Vice Director. We don't know how you do it all and a little bit of work in between everything else. But thank you, Tony. We'll hook you up auditorily here and we'll do the recording. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. And good morning to everybody. Yeah, sorry that we don't have the display over there because I kind of built this a little bit to invite questions and answers type of things, just because a lot of the information is available out in the wild for the most part. And I have a slide that actually kind of shows that as well too. So I'm just going to kind of briefly go over, what SNARS has. I mean, we have quite a few different systems, outside of the analog system that we're just talked about. So just to kind of give a highlight for those that are new, don't understand or haven't paid attention to what digital systems that we currently have. Today we have 7 DMR repeaters, which are all linked via a software called cBridge. And the reason that we utilize the cBridge rather than connecting to Brandmeister, for those that know what that's all about, is that we control the talk groups. So one of the key things that we wanted to do at the very beginning of the project when we started DMR with SNARS is we wanted a time slot dedicated only to members to be able to utilize, or at least dedicated to a talk group. So that way members have available access and be able to chat amongst each other, especially between the 7 repeaters that we have today. The time slot 1, for those that are familiar with DMR, we have 2 time slots, or in some sense 2 channels of communication per each repeater that we install. Time slot 1 is kind of what we call the Wild Wild West. So we can add and remove different types of talk groups from that, but they are still controlled by what we provide. So we subscribe to a handful of them, and they're on our website. And we'll talk about that in a second. All the repeaters are Motorola repeaters. Most of them are the old XPR 8400s. I think there's 1 or 2 that have the newer ones, which we've also replaced out the analog systems with an XPR 5700. Really good repeaters. They've been pretty rock solid. They've been on the air for, I don't know how many years, almost 10 years, I think it's been, it seems like. So for those that are interested in DMR, please let us know. We can do some more sessions on it. We used to do a series of workshops that talk about how to program radio, what type of radios you need, things like that. The other thing I failed to mention is it is all internet based. So one of the common questions I get with the DMR systems is, if the repeater no longer has internet connection, what happens to it? Well, essentially it becomes just a localized repeater. So what that means is, if we had some type of a drill, emergency, whatever is going on, all 7 of those repeaters obviously would be standalone, but each of those repeaters would have 2 channels of communication, which allows for really cool logistical capabilities for, putting certain types of things onto those repeaters. Some, I don't know, you could have like the hospital net on one, you could have, DEM on the other one, so on and so forth. And with the, where they're all placed for the most part throughout Northern Nevada, has pretty good wide coverage. I'll kind of keep it at that for the D-Star, or for the DMR repeaters. The next repeater that we have on top of Ophir Peak, or actually Mount Davidson, which Ophir and Davison's are, right next to each other. I think they're about 3,000 feet apart from each other. But anyways, the D-Star repeater that we just brought up this last summer, we have 1 UHF and 1 VHF. So that pretty much covers a good chunk of Northern Nevada, at least the Reno, Sparks, Carson City area. And I was hitting it from Dayton when I was coming up the last time. So it does pretty well in terms of coverage area from the Mount Davison. Again, we can do a specific class on this to talk about D-Star a little bit more in depth. I don't want to kind of get too much into that today, just because of the lack of you guys seeing some things. But we can do either during the Monday night ham radio night on Zoom, or we'll do some type of special in-person one if you guys are interested. And again, let me know if you guys are interested. This helps with determining what type of courses, workshops that we can provide in the near future, especially now that we're back in person and be able to do some more of these cool little things. D-Star repeaters, one of the things I didn't know about the DMR repeaters, but the D-Star repeaters, unfortunately, the only equipment that works with it is everything from ICOM, with the exception of Kinwood with their D74 and upcoming D75. So it's pretty much limited, whereas DMR, you have a lot of different vendors out there that actually have radios that are capable of communicating on it. The most common one is the Anytone that you'll probably hear about or see a lot of people with. Alinco, which is basically Anytone. They have another flavor of it. So it's basically packaged a little bit differently in their casing that they have with it, and maybe one or two features different. So it's just really a firmware difference between the radios. Pretty much same board, just different case. ICOM technically has DMR capable radios as well too, just in the commercial mode or in the commercial side of the shop. Motorola, Hytera, TYT, there's a lot of different vendors out there and a lot of new ones coming out all the time. I think Bridgecom has a few, and then BTech, and then can't remember the other company. So anyways, so DMR actually has a lot more capability in terms of all the different radio types that we have out there. D-Star is a little bit more limiting, but most of you guys that have a 7100 or is it 7300 and or all the HTs that have come out, especially the new ID52, which is what I have here, been playing with. Great little radio, dual-band receive, color display, all the fun little toys that comes with some of the newer radio, especially from ICOM. And then the last repeater we have that's on the air that's digital is called System Fusion. Some of you guys know it as just Fusion or C4FM, basically just the name of the protocol that they utilize. We have one VHF repeater that's at over. And that one currently is tied directly into the SNARS DMR talk group. So if you have a Yaesu radio, FT70, the 500, 300, 200, 100 mobiles, the FT5DR, 3DR, you're able to use the C4FM mode on that and connect back into the SNARS talk group that we have on DMR, which is kind of handy. And it connects through a protocol called IMRS. So that's kind of a quick overview of the repeaters that we have online right now in the Reno Tahoe area. Some of the resources I'll just list here. I'm not going to go into a lot of the different components of the digital modes. This is just really kind of an overview to give you guys an idea of what we have and, you know, where to find the resources. And, you know, like I said, I was really looking forward to any questions people have, because that's really where we're at today, because these digital modes have been out for a very long time. There's tons of YouTube videos that talk about it. There's a lot of quick help, self-help ones that really have done a really good job, better than I probably would today. But anyways, the first one, for those that can't see the screen, I just have a link to the D-Star, ICOM America's website, where it kind of provides an overview of what D-Star is, how it works, how it functions, and so on and so forth. System Fusion, same thing. Yaesu has a great little write-up talking about how the System Fusion works. And it's called System Fusion, not just Fusion, not C4FM, because it really encapsulates all the different things that Yaesu has. For example, the C4FM part of it, IMRS, which is the linking protocol between the DR2X repeaters. And then, of course, Wires X that you guys hear quite a bit about, most likely. So that's a linking protocol or a linking system that allows them to link different types of repeaters. You can do PD, personal digital nodes on your radios. There's a lot of stuff that happens around that, and it's pretty active. Both these communities are still really active today. There might just be a few reflectors or a few areas that are more active than most, but there's still a lot of activity out there. And then, of course, DMR. We always reference back to DMR Mark's website. They're kind of the father, if you want to call it, in terms of kind of the explosion of amateur radio DMR, just the way that they started and who they were and how related they were to Motorola, of course. Some of the guys that were in the shop there that kind of started some of this. And there's a great guide on there that talks about DMR. It gets into the weeds of if you want to know how the protocol works, how the specs works, how it functions, all that kind of cool stuff. And there's a PDF on the right-hand side of that website when you visit it to download and cruise through as you like. I think I still have paper versions of it from John that used to publish that. He has since passed away a couple of years ago, I think, that wrote that originally, but it's a pretty good book. EWR also has one now that they sell. from the Great Britain amateur radio. They had a nice series that they wrote up, so that's available as well too if you need that. I'm not sure if there's any books for D-Star and System Fusion in the EWR catalog, but I'll take a look and note that later. So one of the things I'm just going to do really quickly for those that are on let's find my screen here. Just trying to find the screen. Uh-oh, there we go. So for those that are not able to see, I'm just basically going to the website right now in terms of some of the information that we have that talks about the different digital systems. So if you're familiar with the website, on the repeater link at the very top, we have, of course, the listing of the analog repeaters, which provides you all that frequency information about them, the maps, and so on and so forth. And then we also have them broken out into DMR repeaters, D-Star repeater, and System Fusion repeaters. I think most of you guys are familiar with the DMR website. It has a lot of information on it in terms of all the different repeaters we have. We also have a couple, if you want to call them associated repeaters, or at least just noting the other DMR repeaters in the area, especially our friends up in Lake Tahoe, the Tahoe Amateur Radio Association, and then our friend K6IOK down in Sacramento as well too. Anyways, they're all listed here. They show you what the frequency is, what site they're on, the color code that we use, and then the network that they're connected to, the repeater itself is connected to. So you'll see most of them Seabridge, and then the last two are utilizing Brandmeister. As you scroll down onto the page, you do see all the different talk groups. So once again, I noted with DMR that we have a select set of talk groups that we maintain or at least link into or subscribe to. So you'll see them all here in terms of what's currently active. If there's any other ones that you want to activate, let me know. I have to manually connect them up, but once they're connected, I'll update the page and let you know. But it's just a list that gives you an idea of what it is. Also, at the very top here with the code plugs that we maintain, code plugs will most likely maintain all these talk groups in them. So if you want to start a code plug, this is the way to get it, of course. Anyway, so you have a bunch of different buttons up top. I won't go too much into them. They pretty much self-explanatory in terms of what they are, but they're your last herds. You can see who's on. We have our link to all the different DMR nets. Like I said, the DMR code plugs. Right now, we just put on the website the Anytones, since those are the most popular ones today. But we have other ones in the members section, which we can talk about later if you like. I think that's the only notable thing on this page. So we'll just go ahead and switch over to the D-Star repeaters. So this is a new page as of this last year. And as we get more into, have more questions or some of those common things that come out, we'll of course add to this page. But this kind of gives you an idea of how the D-Star repeaters are configured. We're using what's called the 3G ICOM gateway software from ICOM. So that's how we connect to the network, so to speak. There's also a nice little simple guide to using D-Star, a great video, really quick, that shows you how to program your radios. And the nice thing about, I'll have to say about ICOM, it's very familiar across the board of all their radios in terms of how you program. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty logical and simple. The other things I've noticed too, between all the different radios, especially even the ones all the way back to the ID31 that's been out for forever, and then the 5100 mobile, is their CPS is very similar amongst all the radios, which is smart. And of course, the capability of exporting all that data and importing into the new radio is really simple. At least I think it is. It's probably one of the better ways of doing this compared to DMR and of course Fusion. Anyways, great video. I recommend if you're looking at getting into D-Star or have a D-Star radio capable. Great way to understand what the ins and outs and how to configure and how to start operating on our local repeaters, even on hotspots. So like I mentioned, we have two D-Star repeaters. They're the ICOMs, the middle series, if you want to call it that, the first ones that came out. Still operating on the air, seem to be doing pretty well. We have a VHF and then the UHF. Just to note that the UHF and VHF are not linked together. So they're independent. You can link the two if you want, but if you're on what we call module C, which is typically VHF, it won't be communicating to module B, the UHF. But like I said, you can link the two. So just note that they're always unlinked, so that way you can utilize them and connect to any reflector that you feel that's necessary. The other thing I noted on this webpage is called the common reflectors. These are the common ones that most people are hanging out on, or at least some of the busier ones to kind of check out. And then there's a link also to the page that shows you what is connected, their status page for the most part. So you can see there's a lot of stations on this one. And also it shows you the active modules that these are technically connected to. So if you're going to connect to it, you're going to need to know the module that you're connecting to. And then the other notable thing that you saw on the slide today is the D-Star nets. Right now, I've only listed the one, which is based out of Las Vegas, but it's basically open to all. Every Wednesday at 6 p.m., the module B, or the UHF D-Star on top of Mount Davison, is automatically linked to the reflector, which is the one that we use is called reflector 14 Bravo or 14B. Right now, the two DMR repeaters that are the two D-Star repeaters that are in Las Vegas are connected to it, plus the Reno one. I think there's another one that's out of the Central California that's linked to it as well too, but it's a great net just to check into, check your radios, make sure they're working, ask any questions about D-Star or about the radio, any topics related to that. They're more than welcome to join in and participate. So I encourage those that have D-Star radios, utilize our D-Star repeater that we have up on Mount Davison and, give a check-in. It's a great mode, especially the newer radios that have come out lately. The vocoders are a lot cleaner compared to the original ones. But like I said, I encourage you guys to, of course, connect up and hopefully hear you guys on the net. I connect on it as well too, so I'm out there listening on Wednesdays. And then the final one is our System Fusion repeater. We only have the one, of course. So it's using the C4FM protocol. And like I said, it's on most of the common digital-based radios that Yaesu has offered today and in the past. And one of the things to note, of course, we also have the frequency. So it's on VHF. So it's on 14661. That box is digital only just because of the way that we have to connect it back into the network. And how it's connecting is through a protocol called IMRS. I think it's Internet Multi-Relay System or Repeater System, something like that. It's a newer protocol that only exists on the DR2X repeater that we have up there. And what that does is we connect it directly to Brandmeister. So Brandmeister kind of is the hub in terms of allowing us to communicate between the Brandmeister world. So if you have a hotspot, obviously you can connect to that, back to the C bridge, and then back to the repeaters in Reno, Carson City area. One of the things I'll note is the C bridge repeater or the C bridge software or the server is based out of San Jose. There's a big gaming facility, or if you want to call it hosting provider that hosts a lot of different virtual servers and things like that. They're located in San Jose. We also have the C bridge 3103, which is based in that same facility. So between these two servers, we have really quick connections between the two. So it makes it kind of handy in terms of linking a lot of this stuff together. The other thing to note here is to get on the SNARS talk group, we'll just call it the SNARS talk group. On your radios, you'll program your DG ID, it's called digital ID, to 28. One of the recommendations when you do program that radio is you have two settings or two options to set. You have the receive, which should be labeled as RX, DGID RX, and then TX. Your RX, I probably just would keep at 00. Basically, it's like a pale tone squelch. It opens up your radio so you can hear all traffic regardless of what's going on that repeater. But the transmitting one, you want to set to 28 because that's what tells the repeater to connect back into the network. So if you want to talk on the SNARS talk group, you'll want to program your radio DGID to 28. Now, if you just want to use it local, so if you have a couple of you guys just want to chat locally and not disrupt or get onto the SNARS talk group, you can just use 00 on both the receive and transmit, and that basically makes the repeater local only. So it gives you kind of the best of both worlds in terms of how that repeater works. So those that have fusion capable, system fusion capable radios, definitely give it a try. Let me know if you have any questions on how to configure that. It's fairly simple once you get the hang of it. The other thing, there's some notes on terms of how that there's timers on the fusion system, and it's kind of a little funky in terms of how it works, but we have a timer that's set for 3 minutes. And what that means is if someone keys up 28 or there's activity coming back from 28, SNARS talk group in this instance, it will keep that that link going for the next 28 minutes, or for the next 3 minutes, sorry. If there's no activity, it'll just drop off. And then there's a couple series of beeps that kind of help you knowing that has happened if you're listening to it on any regular basis. So one beep, it indicates it's linked. 2 beeps, it's been dropped or disconnected. Or 3 beeps, the site is busy for whatever reason. So you might hear some of those different types of tones or beeps on that repeater. And then the other notable thing on all the pages is we have the coverage map that kind of gives you an idea of, you know, what the coverage of that repeater is. And we try to do that with all the repeaters. So at least you have an idea if you're trying to connect where you should be, or, you know, where you're at in relationship to the repeater. Now, just note that anytime we do these plots, it's really designed to be at a mobile level, not so much an HT level, but it's still relevant in terms of knowing the propagation of the signal from that repeater. So it's just the way that mobile radio does their, you know, just the way that they plot information. And I think most plot software does that same thing as well too. But anyways, so that's kind of a quick overview. Oh, I'll go back to D-Star. So sorry for jumping around here. But D-Star also has a dashboard. So that way you can see who's linked, what's not, last heard of who's accessed the repeater as of late. The dashboard kind of refreshes every night at midnight. So a lot of the contacts will drop off. So if there was anything that was from yesterday, you probably won't see them on here. As of today, we don't have any, it looks like, connecting at the moment. The other notable thing too about these gateway and reflectors is if you have a hotspot, like an open spot, Pi-Star, things like that, you can connect directly to the dashboard or to our system. I think we right now allow up to 10 connections at a time just because of bandwidth potential, or at least limitation. But you can connect your device up to it and, you know, and communicate if you like with everybody and come back out on the repeater. So anyway, so those are kind of the high levels, just kind of give you guys an overview. The information is on our website and we're updating it regularly as we have more information or we get questions, and, you know, putting some of those common, you know, Q&As on there, or at least defining some of the different nuances between all these different modes. But, you know, it's all out here. You guys can look at it. Contact me if you guys have any questions. I think one of the other things that I'm kind of working on in the background a little bit is trying to figure out how to allow the D-Star to also connect to our SNARS talk group as well too. So as I'm working through that, figuring out the best method of doing that, that could potentially create that capability. So if you have D-Star and you want to check into the Tuesday Night Net, you'll be able to hopefully soon, at least for those that have Fusion. You guys can connect to it RF via the Fusion protocol or the Fusion System Fusion. Trying to think, there was one more thing I was going to talk about. Oh, we also have what's called an YSF reflector for hotspot users as well too, and we have a few out there. That will probably be replaced out for those that are using it. Probably will be replaced out with something that's called XLX server. And that project that I'm working on right now would allow for the interoperability between D-Star and DMR. So for those that are using it, just kind of note that that's going to change. It shouldn't be much of a change for those that are utilizing it and connecting to it, but we'll go into that at a later date. But for those that are curious and those that can see the screen at the moment, you'll see it has a last heard. It shows you what hotspots are currently connected. Right now, we don't have any. So that's another part of our digital footprint, if you want to call it. So I think that's all I had for the most part in terms of that. So I will leave it up to any questions you guys might have, especially those that are on Zoom. You guys got to see everything.
KDK Success Tea here at Jack's #2 Coffee Shop. Thank you, Tony. Apologies to everybody here. They couldn't see it because we had a outage with the TV. We'll bring a projector next time, whether they get their TV working or not. It is recorded. We'll get it onto the SNARS web YouTube channel. And just so you know, the way you find that is you go to snars.org, go to the second of the bottom line on the website, way at the bottom. It says Sierra Nevada Amateur Radio Society Inc. And the first thing is watch video. That goes to our YouTube channel. So somewhere in the next day or 2 or 3, hopefully we'll have it up there. Thank you, Tony. You answered a ton of questions for us. And we know that not being able to see it here, we don't have some of the details. I'm going to take a quick poll. Out of everybody here, and I'm going to guess the percentage, how many people are on DMR? Just raise your hand. So probably 40+%. Are on DMR. Okay, now how many people are on Fusion? Maybe 35-ish, I'm guessing. How many people have a D-Star? Oh, quite a few, maybe 10 or 12. So the numbers are increasing on D-Star. They're really happy the system's up. And thanks for all that you do. So let's just start. Are there any questions for Tony locally here at the coffee shop? Okay, nothing at the moment. And on Zoom, if you have any questions, just open your mic up and give your call sign.
KK7SL.
Go ahead, Richard. KK7SL.
On the website, when you bring up the map, I know that we list DMR on DMR, Tony. I know that in the list of repeaters above, it lists Carson City, but I don't know that that repeater is shown on the coverage map.
Yeah, do you want to mention about the Carson City, which is now on, what is it, McClellan? Is that right?
No, so the Carson one is sitting in DEM still, so we're still able to host it there, and they're more than welcome or happy for us to be there, so that's not an issue. So the Carson City DM, that's where it's located. So it's a low level, so it only really covers, a good chunk of Carson City. Actually, a good chunk of Carson City, off to the west and behind Prison Hill. Obviously, it's going to be shadowed, but yeah. So I think I haven't put it on there yet. So I'll probably plot that out, I guess. I need to find out what the antenna that they're using up on that building. I think it's a single dipole, UHF dipole. But anyways, I'll find out and I'll see if I can add it to that. And I think there's one more that's not on there either. I think Eagle was missing. Yeah, so I need to add Eagle to that map.
Right. Just a comment on my part, because that's what I use, because I'm HT and I'm usually either in Dayton or Carson. Thank you for the repeaters. DMR gives me better coverage HT wise, because on the analog repeaters, it's a long haul for me to get to one of the SNARS repeaters and where the DMRs are closer. So thank you for that. And thank you again, Barry. You were helpful Tuesday night for me.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Richard. So Richard's down in Dayton at KK7SL. We have our weekly TechNet that's currently DMR and Fusion all tied together. And I had heard Richard was new to DMR, so I brought up this sheet and kind of did a little education. So that's good. And what else do we want to see? Anything else on Zoom? Anybody on Zoom with a question?
Barry, KJ7TKR here.
Go ahead.
A question for you, Barry. How long will first of all, Tony, great presentation. Really appreciate it. Total newbie to digital, pretty much a newbie to amateur radio, even though I'm a general. How long will the video be available on SNARS? Do you archive it?
As far as we know, in perpetuity. I think once it goes up there, it stays up there. Anybody? Perfect. Forever. Yeah, we think it's forever because it just goes up there.
Great. Thank you both.
Okay, very good. Tony mentioned about maybe we do an in-person. A lot of this you could do on Zoom and it helps, but we might do an in-person of some type because you could bring a radio. Maybe we do it sometime when Tony's up here. We can look at the radios, we can program them. So we'll have to, I'm getting a lot of shaking heads here. We'll have to see how that all works. The other thing is that, different people have different radios, like we did that survey. It's just great to get together with other people to help the other people. Tony, anything in closing?
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious, from people that are in person and also on Zoom, what day or night is best for, maybe we do what's called a digital workshop where we can talk about all three and maybe we do 3 or 4 sessions that same day. But I just need to know, what is everybody's preference nowadays and, what day or night would be, a great time to do it. And then time, of course, you know, what is kind of the consensus?
Yeah, I think we might have to do a survey on that. We're getting some head shaking. One of the not good or bad, one of the challenges is there's a lot of different times. So what do you guys think about just doing a survey? Yeah, we'll just do a survey, and that way they can put in their specifics. Tony, does that work?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, I was just kind of getting just a straw poll, so to speak, of, you know, is a weekend better, a weeknight better?
Let's do this. Raise your hand if you want to do a weekend. Okay, very small. Let's raise your hand if you want to do a night. We're not saying what night. We get it's a 5 to 1 or 6 to 1 some night during the week.
Okay.
We'll just have to find out when it is, and you know, maybe sometime when you're going to be up here, we can schedule it that way so you could be part of it.
Yep.
Okay, now a question came up. Can you go to the chat? A question came up on the chat, Tony, and the question was, what happened to the P-Vine fusion system? I think what they're, yeah, it's not ours. It's what's the name of the group? What was the name of the group?
Oh, the NV Cars, the Churchill group.
The NV Cars, which got sold to a different person, but I think, yeah, NV something.
Yeah, he bought all of that stuff because the guy that owns cars moved.
Yeah, so it got sold to another guy. And then does anybody know, let's ask the question here. Do you know, John, if whatever happened to the one on P-Vine or the one out this way?
It's on lower P-Vine. I don't know what I don't know.
What's going on?
My guess is because it used to link in through, they don't do IMRS, they do radio linking.
Right.
And it used to link in to the guy that sold it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. So it used to link, what John says here is it used to link into a guy, and I remember they had a spider web linking system. So we don't know the answer to it, but we will keep our eyes out. Tony, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet with that group, so I'm not sure what's going on. But yeah, he was linking in. So they're using WiresX as their protocol to link in. I mean, I can go and look and see if it's still on the air, but it's right now.
It's Robert Plant. What's his call? Something NV? Okay, and we'll have to find out. As far as I know, the NV Cars is still around. It got sold as far as the assets and things. So we'll have to find out on that. Any more questions?
Well, it looks like the website has removed all the repeaters, so I don't know what's going on. So I bet you they're not mutually exclusive anymore. I think the equipment was sold off, and then the organization is not anymore.
A little bit I know of, and I think I know it third hand, is that there's sort of like two groups. There was the Churchill group, which I think was the club, and then there was the NV Cars. So I think and I'm getting some head shakes on that. So I think we'll have to find out on that. Any final comments, Tony?
Nope, just if you guys have any questions, you can, on my last slide, I guess. You can find me, you know, wherever at, for the most part. I'm on Telegram all the time. Phone number, of course, the number is published in ARRL's magazine, so you can find me with no problem, and all the directors. But on 31328, 3132, I'm even on Echolink. So if you find me in the directory, you'll see me there. I usually have it monitoring because I have a cleared node. I'm on All-Star, so there, you know, you should be able to find me somewhere.
Yeah, and that what I find is one of the best ways to get hold of Tony and many people in the club is through Telegram. If you haven't, go to that bottom second to the bottom where it says watch video, and to the right is Telegram. It's a chat system, and it's easy to get hold of people. It's also fun if you say you have a question or you want to go out and do a quota, or who knows the answer to such and such. Well, Tony, thank you so much for all the digital smarts. Thank you for everything you do for the club, not only as secretary, but all the technical things. And thanks for bringing your knowledge and your wisdom. And congratulations on being elected again.
Thanks. You too.
Okay, so this concludes the digital presentation by Tony W7XM. for the SNARS December 2nd, 2023 meeting. We're going to stop the recording. Okay, if you haven't, Tony, stick around. If any